Black Bean Simpson here this morning. How are you all doing? This exceptionally fine morning. It is New Year's. It's New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve, everyone. Um, Not so happy for this widow of a slain police officer. It's it just I came across it this morning. It came out on I think Fox and some other outlets have released it. So we're going to essentially talk about what's in the court today. So let me bring it up for you. There you go. That. So on Fox and Friends, it says, I can watch this. Widow of a Philadelphia police officer who was gunned down 37 years ago in the line of duty is outraged over a judge decision last week to grant her husband's killer a chance to appeal his conviction. On Thursday, Judge Leon Tucker granted Abu-Jamal, I'm going to say those names as best I can, but I'm probably going to paper shred them, essentially, just destroy them. Another opportunity to appeal his 1981 conviction and the death of Philadelphia police officer Daniel Faulkner. Such interesting last names, I just gotta say. Just really pretty interesting. Abu-Jamal spent 3 decades on death row before his sentence in the shooting death of Faulkner was thrown out over flawed jury instructions. I wonder what that means. I'm just so curious. What does that mean? Jury instructions. Jury instructions are a set of legal rules that jurors all follow, then decide a case. Jury instructions are given to the jury by the jury instructor, who usually reads them aloud to the jury. So I wonder how often the death penalty actually gets thrown out due to a flawed jury instruction. And what was so flawed about it? I wish they actually had the more information on that specific part of that court case in 1981. But I'm going to keep on continuing here. Prosecutors agree to a sentence of life without parole, and Abu-Jamal's final appeal was rejected by Pennsylvania Supreme Court in 2012. However, the judge ruled on Thursday that the former Justice Ronald Castille should have recused himself because of statements he made as a prosecutor about police killers that suggest potential bias. What a low life judge that Judge Leon Tucker is to say such a thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. A judge is supposed to judge, right? But he's also supposed to judge based on merit and who these people are. The fact that to sit there and say that he should have recused himself because of a police killer, well, that would imply any court case beyond this case that has anything to do with a police officer in general, essentially, or when even police officers get in fights and squabbles between citizens and that, or whatever. Citizens start up something. It goes so deep. It's so. A judge shouldn't even really be talking about another judge. Personally, in my eyes, it's like a doctor talking about another doctor. Those are things you don't do. That's professionalism. That's the epitome of the professionalism in that field. This is why they have certain level of respect by law and peons like myself. All right. So essentially, when you become a doctor or you become a lawyer, or I thought when you become a judge, or in positions in life of those sorts, you start to understand that there's a level of professionalism of not talking about other people's judgments, because that's going to turn around on you. And as being these high level professional people, you don't want this constant battle between each other, between your own group, between between the same professionalism. Have that have that criticism of of other people's judgment being done by other people. You know, essentially this is why we have a hierarchy in justice system. We got the lawyers, and then we got the judges, and then there's even prosecutors in there. But I would just say lawyers and judges. Well, that's why you got lawyers. Lawyers can make the arguments of if the judge was should have recused himself. This judge shouldn't. I don't think should have done that. That it, hey, I'm no judge. I'm no doctor. I'm no high-ranking professional status person like that, or status person like these people. But for one, I definitely won't. Within my own field, all right, I don't sit there and cast judgments even on when I worked with other techs. I didn't sit there and cast judgment on other techs on how they went about things. It was always about how we would go about the situation, and then how there's ways to deal with that situation. Never that they were wrong for dealing it that way, because we weren't there. We weren't in that situation, and to sit there and to cast judgment on that person, it causes problems between your profession. Just let other people do. That's why we got supervisors. That's why we got uh, just other people that we work with or around that can make those complaints if that needs to be. Don't. I mean, if unless it's serious, like completely against ethics. Unless it's like someone like hurting someone else, it's something, what I mean, something extreme, something that's actually against the law. I mean, it is. There's no context. I mean, I wish there was a little more in this to give us understanding. But at the same time, I don't care if this guy was during an interview talking about how he has a potential bias, because that's what it is. He suggests a potential. Suggests a potential. Suggest potential. Two words that don't quantify fact. Quantify as 100% true. That's the interesting thing too about it. You gotta see those. It's all about wordings. It's all about the words. But again, I do digress on the fact I do wish they had more information about that court case. I'm not going to go into it. If you guys want to, be my guest. I'm going to read and finish this off. There's a little more here. Um, I'm absolutely outraged with Leon Tucker. Tucker has no merit on this judgment. I agree. Castille had nothing to say about Mamai Abu-Jamal. He had no prejudice, said Maureen Faulkner in an exclusive interview on Fox and Friends Sunday. This is going to open the door for so many murders to be able to do this and appeal this. During a routine traffic stop on a vehicle belonging to Abu-Jamal's younger brother, William Cook, Officer Faulkner got into a physical confrontation with Cook. Abu-Jamal was in the vicinity and observed the fight, ran over and shot Faulkner in the back and later in the face. Faulkner, who noted that she has traveled back and forth from her home state of California numerous times in this case, also said she hopes that Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner will appeal this decision. I hope so too. I hope this guy's not some PC political nut job who thinks that his job only relies on appeasing people rather than doing his freaking job, which is keeping horrible monsters away like that. Or it should have been put down 6 foot down in the ground, or not even that. Burn in a pit and let the ashes blow in the wind. That's still too good. Alright, and then Mahami, or Mahama, it's such a weird, Mamamio, I don't know. Abu-Jamal, It's good to do it. That Abu-Jamal shot my brother. My husband between the eyes. He executed my husband. Faulkner said, "I'm never going to let this go." All over the country, they reduce sentences on murders. They're allowing them out of prison, and it's wrong. It's so wrong. It is wrong. The Philadelphia District Attorney told the Associated Press that later decisions is being reviewed. The police officer widow had a message for a judge who issued the new ruling. To Judge Leon Tucker, I hope you could sleep at night with the decision you made because you know it was not the right one, she said. The case against Abu-Jamal, a political activist, a journalist, has received international attention among death penalty opponents and criminal justice reform advocates. Ah, this is one of those cases where it's just like, what is up with you, Judge Leon Tucker? Anyways, Happy New Year's. If you like this podcast, please like and subscribe. If you didn't like this podcast, please still like and subscribe. Comment down below. If you want to comment, just give me advice or whatever. Say Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's, everyone. Thanks for listening.